Hello everyone and welcome back to Season 1 finale of my Let's Build series. So today I thought we'd take a little bit of a journey through all the builds that we have been able to create in this world so far. Of course, with the end of Season 1, that does not mean that I'm getting rid of this world, it just means we're keeping some chunks and updating most of them. So I just kind of thought we should go around, we should see some of these builds that I've made over the time that we've been in this world and just kind of reminisce together. So here in front of our starter house, this is where we started. There was trees all over this area, but it was this nice green forested area in amongst the plains and the mountains, and I just fell in love with it. We've built our first little farm around this pond, and then we got started and built up a fairy tale teapot to start our adventure in. And so we did a little bit of gathering of wool, and we were able to build an amazing starter house. Although I've used barrels since the very beginning, as you know, I just finished organizing this area in last week's episode. But yeah, this starter house was really fun to make, and I love how all this like kitchen area was right here at the very beginning. Of course, we did add another furnace here because we were throwing furnaces all over the place in this area. But the little staircase going upstairs and a double bed, yeah, I just think this little starter house was so cute. And of course, I do have fire tick off, and so there was no way this was going to burn up because I was like, no, I want fire tick off so I can actually utilize fire in some of my designs. So towards, I don't know, partway through, we did end up making a bone meal kind of setup where I would just toss extra stuff in here. So I still use it from time to time, but for the most part, it's just decorative. So after we finished up with the starter house, we needed food, and I decided to make this little barn and using oak wood and spruce wood, and I think it came together so nicely. We have flowers out in the front, and I bone mealed some of the grass, so we got some flowers and grass all the way around. I never did fill it up with horses, which is a little disappointment for me. Of course, there are these guys, but I am moving them over to the military base once I have stables for them. They're going over there, and we still need to get horses because I think it would look so neat to have a couple of horses sticking their heads out over top of these stables in the front. But yeah, the design for this came out quite well. It's very interesting walking around my builds and that kind of stuff, and just seeing the growth, how much I grew as a builder in just a short amount of time that we've had this world. Now, of course, we put the sheep in the back here, so I used the gravel and the coarse dirt and the like to signify that, you know, this is where it'd be more muddy because they'd come in for shelter and pack it down. I don't really know why there's a flower there, but apparently there's a flower there. I don't remember planting it. And then this is where we were going to put like storage, and then also we were going to put hay bales, but that never happened. Oops. And then here, that gravel block is an Enderman issue. Probably should break it, but we put the cows over on this side, and they were very useful. I got a lot of leather from these guys. I actually kind of need to go and kill some more again, but we'll do that later. It's fine. Then on the upstairs, I wanted to have a solid source of food, and so I made this chicken cooker, which I can't say works the best, but as you can see, it does work some. But I also like never utilized it. I think I came here for chicken maybe once, which also kind of says something when it's only once and this is only how much chicken I've gotten in the whole time that I've been in this world. But anyways, it worked, but definitely was not utilized as much as I thought it would be utilized. After building up the barn, we decided to go into the Nether, and I wanted to have a nice Nether portal design because I was like, I just don't want it to be just kind of plain. So we did originally have the Nether portal just sitting on the edge here, but I decided to back it up into this like cave-like area, and then I decorated with cobblestone and glowberries, and I think it turned out so nicely. I put a bed here just so I'd remember to always set my spawn, and it's almost nighttime, so we can sleep in it. So I still really like the design and how this turned out. I'll eventually get rid of that torch because it doesn't need it, just needs a little extra light in there. But yeah, I think this came together very nicely, and it kind of fits that more quaint starter area vibe that I was going with. So when we came back from the Nether that first time, if you recall, it was a basalt delta spawn and it was horrible. All I went for was some quartz to finish off the chicken cooker up there, and yeah, it was horrible. You can go check out episode 4. It was quite the adventure. But so after our adventure out into the Nether, we did end up making this mushroom enchanting center, and I think it turned out so well. When I made this, I had not really done any organic builds before, and I think this turned out really well. So we have a few white mushroom blocks in there. We have a little bit of glow lichen. I should have done some more, but I think I ran out and I never decided to, or remember to come back and actually add in some more. But we have some leaves around and the glowberries, and I think it just turned out really cute looking, I guess you could say. The lantern helps for light. I was going to do a floor in here, and I think I just forgot, but anyways. We were able to do all our enchanting in this area. I ended up putting a barrel in here with some of the books that I got, and then of course lapis, so I didn't have to keep running back and forth. We have a grindstone and an anvil, and yeah, I really love how this build turned out. Next up, I wanted a little bit of a decorating episode because yes, we had the barn, we had the mushroom, we had the starter house, but there was no like flair to the area. So we ended up putting this path around. I actually just recently put these moss carpets over top of the lights. I have some torches in just because I didn't like the torch spam that I had created here. But we also tried making our first custom tree. And I think for a first try, this tree turned out pretty good. It's definitely a little bit too straight-laced. And I think I could have added some more branch action, I would say, because on this backside, it doesn't look great. Like there's some missing blocks in there, and yeah, it doesn't look great. But like I said, I like coming back and looking at the builds that we were able to create early on in the season and just realize how far that we've come since that beginning episode to build better and yeah, create, and just to be able to create better builds. So we did that, and then we also were able to make this bridge. And I think it turned out well. It's very simple design, just, you know, some blocks down to the bottom. But it was also kind of the first taste of using deep slate, obviously besides the path. And I realized how much I loved deep slate and how much I really enjoyed building with deep slate. Even if it's a pain to try and mine it all, I really enjoyed that color flare to it. And then since we had this bridge and we could now traverse the water much easier than like swimming through it, because at this time we hadn't even fought the dragon yet and gotten wings. Here we decided we needed some crops, and so we built this windmill, and I love it. I really love it. I've built one other windmill, and I like this one so much better. We were even able to put in a few decorations. This chest, oh look at that, it actually has stuff in it. I think that was like leftovers and I never came back to clean it up. Now, of course, we also had a lot of pillager raiding us at the time, and so of course I had to put the banners there, because why not? So the deep slate tiles on the roof, I really like how it tied in with the bottom. Deep slate bricks and deep slate tiles. It just, yeah, it looks, kind of ties it all in together. And of course the top part of this, I think I lit it up, but it is dark and there's nothing up there because I decided just to leave this bottom as kind of the storage, which also, besides putting a couple things in there, yeah, we never really utilized it. But I think it definitely gives that barn aspect, especially with these spruce logs just jutting out in that area. We made these crop farms, so we got potatoes and carrots down there, and then wheat. And I was going to keep going with the crop farms and build up more. As you can see, we have this path coming along, and I was going to go all the way into the village because I just wanted to redo the village and create a different looking village than just the regular Minecraft village. That is still the plan for Season 2. I do know with resetting the chunks and the like, most likely this village will be reset, and based on my early look at the 1.18 seed that we're currently in, that village will not be in that location. But irregardless, it should still be decently close. So once we completed off the crop center and the windmill, we ended up making a villager breeder. And if anybody remembers the villager breeder episode, there was a lot of chaos, like crazy chaos. I followed a tutorial to make the villager breeder, and as we were making it, they're like, yeah, wait till nighttime and they'll just, you know, go down, break their carts, and they'll go into the beds. And I had beds loaded up on their area, whatever. Yeah, they didn't. They jumped down and went running over into the village. It's nighttime. I'm trying to rescue them, and it was so frustrating. Oh my goodness, you guys need to rewatch that episode. Episode 8. It was really crazy. But we did end up making this villager breeder, and again incorporating the deep slate, because the deep slate was just so fun to work on and use in builds. And we kind of had this tower design that looked like it was being pulled up from the bottom, and so you could see the warped wood, and I just really liked it. I thought it turned out pretty good. On the inside we did warped wood floors. The villagers were up there that I would just throw bread to, and then of course the babies would drop down in this area. So it turned out really well, and I've used it quite a bit. Obviously there's a villager here that I should really take out of there, but I had needed all of the rails pointed this direction so we could build that iron farm, which will be coming in the tour shortly. But first we had the rails coming down here and into the trading hall. So we built the trading hall first, and again incorporated that deep slate in here. But I like kind of the design. I've never really used concrete that much in my builds, and so trying to utilize it in these areas, yeah, it was a different experience. I would say the one thing that I was lacking in this build was more of a gradient in the build. It was just very much black and white and warped wood. So I think that's one of the things that I wish I had incorporated into this build, was more of that gradient that I've utilized in other builds. So on the inside I used spruce wood and glowberries, and then above each of the villagers' heads I put room lights. That way this was just completely mob proof and I didn't have to worry about that. Now, I did have to put these trapdoors down lower because when I was putting the villagers in and then I'd break their carts, they started to like pop out. And of course, when you're breaking the actual job block and trying to get them like a trade that you want, they kept trying to come out. So I just put them like that, and some I haven't moved yet. They're still like that, especially the ones that I use all the time. And upstairs, we ended up putting a bunch of different librarians. But again, all of this didn't happen until after we got the Apothecary started. So the Apothecary went completely against what style we were currently building in. I've always really loved the terracotta and granite and brick color scheme, and I wanted to utilize that in this build. And so I came up with this design looking at a concept art of a similar building, and it was really fun to work from a concept art to create a new building, a new design here in Minecraft. And again, the spruce wood just adds so much to this color scheme. We had snarls down here that we had to deal with. We were then able to cure all the villagers, and we even worked on the interior in here, and we had, I would say, pretty good apothecary design. We even had like a front counter, a few little plants inside of the flower pots, some lights around. We brought this cat because we'd had a few incidences with creepers. But I think it turned out really cute and nice. And then of course on the upstairs, we used the Apothecary to brew all the potions that we would need. And then of course we had a little Apothecary growing station for the Nether wart. So I really love how this build came out, and especially how much time that I spent on the interior. Because again, like many builders, interiors are not always my strong point, and I tend to, once I finish the build, feel like, oh my goodness, I just don't have any more creativity left for the interior. So I'm really glad that I spent the time to actually accomplish the interior in this build. Now, I did get my, when we built stuff, a little bit turned around. So just before the Apothecary was actually the time when we built the Nether portal cave, but yeah, it's fine. So once I finished the Apothecary, we actually came over and started working on the farm silo, and such a huge project. Oh my goodness. I knew that I wanted a creeper farm because I knew I was going to need gunpowder, because I had every intention of going and beating the dragon and getting wings, because I had so many huge plans for make builds, and wings make it just so much easier. We worked on this, and this was also the first time you got to meet my husband, who came in and helped me with all the design aspects. It was the first time you guys met Mini-Wheats, who also has his own channel, so feel free to go check it out. It'll be linked in the description. And this build was absolutely massive. The first part was spent digging down the entire hole, and we did. We dug down this whole space down to bedrock. And at the bottom is a creeper farm, which I'm obviously not going to take you down there because that's scary. But this is the mechanism on the top to make sure that the water's flowing the proper way, because we don't have cats, it's just a water flow one. And so creeper farm down there, and then in this area, we keep getting zombies in here. I haven't decided how or why. But, yep, they keep loading in. Can mobs spawn on ice blocks? I mean, yeah, can mobs spawn on ice blocks? Oh gosh. So freaking scary. And I just broke something. Oh, that's what I broke. How much redstone have I broken now? Oh, okay. Anyways, that's quite the adventure. Anyways, there's been a number of times coming down here that unfortunately I've had to deal with a lot of zombies loading in. Good, we didn't break any, because that would have been really awful. So I haven't really decided how. I mean, obviously this block should not be there. That's Enderman dealings. But they do seem to like to load in, and I don't know why or how. Anyways, continuing on. So this is the sugarcane farm that we built, and then above it is the pumpkin and melon farm. So this is just one huge farm silo, and it's great. So all the storage originally was just in like the small locations, and it was just overflowing because these farms are really large. And so my husband later on in a few episodes actually helped me put in this storage. And so gunpowder is in these first three. These ones are all the sugarcane in the next three, and then we have pumpkins in the next three, and watermelon in the next three. And these last ones is... oh gosh. What the heck? I don't have any armor on. You're gonna kill me. Oh gosh, he almost killed me. Okay, you know what? We're gonna continue this, we're gonna continue the rest of this with armor. That's probably the best bet here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, I don't understand where these things are coming in. But as I was saying, these last three, my husband helped make a system where once all of these were full, like not obviously the gunpowder, but all the rest, they will get transported into these composters and will be made into compost for me. So obviously it has a long ways to go before these things are actually filled up, but I really like that system because sometimes you need compost. And it's nice to not just have to like toss out once all of this is full, like you can actually utilize it into something else. So besides the fact that we have a huge problem with mobs down here, this was, yeah, a really great project to work on and get done. And I mean, with all of these pumpkin and melons and the like, it saved me so much with all the farmer villagers that I have, and that's basically like my XP that I utilize all the time. Now, of course, just doing that was not enough. I also needed to cover the hole up, and I wanted it to be pretty, because I mean, let's face it, this is a Let's Build series. So I made this greenhouse? Yeah, it's basically a greenhouse. It doesn't have a lot of function on the inside. It's mostly just covering up the bottom. And we're gonna lose a bee. No, we're not. So it's mostly just covering up the outside, but I really like the design, how this came out. It definitely gives that magical feel and fairy tale feel that I've been wanting for this area for so long. I went a little crazy and I built coral into a tree. And then by adding in a little bit of, I don't know if you're going to be able to see any because most of it's on the top, but I did end up adding in some pink and magenta concrete powder, and it adds so much more like texture than just the coral. Yeah, see, there's one right there. So my husband actually suggested putting that in, and I like the suggestion. I think it turned out really well, and just added that different texture variant. And then of course we had the azalea flowering bushes and non-flowering bushes, which adds even more. So this place turned out really well, and was the first time that I used candles in this world, and I like how they're just kind of floating around. And I like how the glass, piling the glass on top of each other turned out to make kind of that smoky look. It just, yeah. I just really love this area, and I seriously don't come here enough. Of course, before we could add in the candles and the like, we actually had to build a spider farm because I had almost no string. And so earlier in the season, I had come across a spider farm, and I had figured I'd probably go and do something with it at some point, but I didn't at the time. So this is where I found it while going down that hole right there, but it's actually right here. And it could have been a double spider spawner, but I decided I didn't want to do that. And part of me now kind of regrets it a little bit, but in the end, honestly, it's fine. I don't come down here that often, and I don't need that much string. It's already overflowing with string. We also had the plan of decorating this, and as you can see, bringing you down here, it is not decorated, but it works. And that's the important part. So after completing the greenhouse and the spider farm, I knew we needed an iron farm. And originally I had been like building all my builds over in this generalized area, and I was recognizing that I was cramming builds together too closely. After chatting it out with my husband, I figured we should probably move from this generalized area to kind of spread out and give more space for other builds. And so the iron farm was built over in this area. And that is kind of where this area was birthed out of, where the military base was kind of thought of. Because originally it was just like, yeah, this is going to be more of my industrial area. I'm just going to kind of make those more industrial farms here. Like, I knew I had the farm silo, but I need an iron farm and who knows what else. So this is the design of the iron farm that we came up with. The bottom, of course, the zombie in the bottom, the villagers up top, and we get a lot of iron. I have it running all the time. I could obviously turn it off. Most of the time I just don't think about it, but the bottom three on both are mostly all full. So we keep having a lot of iron, and I will never run out of iron in here. But that's the bottom, and then flying up into the top, or on the roof, I put glass up here, and then we had this kind of crystal ball orb looking thing. kind of made the storyline with this orb and crystal and kind of dark magic of just how, you know, this area was overlooking the starting area and everybody in the starter area was scared of this darker area. So I incorporated a lot of deep slate. I mean, really, this whole area is deep slate. What am I saying? And besides the fact that it was a lot of deep slate mining, I love the color scheme that came out of here with the purples. Of course, the glass up here, I wanted to put something on this roof, so we had this area. And with the iron golem spawning in here, it needed to be glass. And I love this kind of like pattern that I have right here with almost, I don't know, a little flower type thing, or I don't know, something like that. And then the crystal that I made with the crying obsidian that drips down. Yeah, it all came together great. And that's the first time I used candlesticks as well. I liked it. Candlesticks, these are not even candlesticks. These are lightning rods that I made into candlesticks. And I kind of like how it's floating. Originally, I was going to put something underneath, but I could never decide what. And honestly, with it being floating there, I think it adds more of that magical aura to this area, which I really like. So from doing this iron farm, we actually moved on to this tower right here. Now the bridge was something that we did later, but this tower was one of the first things after the iron farm that we actually created. And it was because I wanted wool. And this green wool in particular, because at the time, green wool, you know, it kind of matches in with the grass and you don't have so much dirt showing, which is why I wanted it in the first place. And so we came up with this little design for the tower, and I fit in a bunch of automatic sheep shearers so we can get all the wool that we want. And I think it's great. Like, I think this worked out well. So up top, again, we did the glass effect. And this one, for some reason, you can see more of what, like the light source that I use, because I use shroom lights. But I still think this works great. And again, it's empty and dark, and I was always going to do something with it, and I still haven't. The goal still is to make a chandelier of some sort in here and just have a big space. But because it's glass, it's not actually spawnable, so I leave it at this moment. But we also made this bridge later on, and just to kind of tie the two together and add it into the iron farm, which I think came out pretty well. I'm debating on whether or not to do another bridge over to this tower, which was a later build. So yeah, let me know what you think, because I'm not sure. But before we even got to that tower, I guess, and the wool farm, we did actually start doing up some of this terraforming, and apparently falling because I forgot to open my wings. So we did start out with this and use the green wool and the basalt and tuff and cobbled deep slate in for a path. And then of course we also created these magical trees with blue terracottas and glowberries and deep slate walls, and it looks so different, but I think it also adds so much more to this area. We also did these little rock structures, which I don't mind. I think it also adds something a little bit different and also just fills out the place. So this obviously will continue on throughout the rest of the build. But once we did off some of this terraforming, that was when I kind of realized that I wanted this to be a bigger massiver? That's not a right word. I wanted this to be a bigger area. And this is kind of where the military base idea came in, of having these, you know, dark magical powers looking down upon this quaint starter area and everybody kind of being scared of them, which is kind of why I went for this wall design. But we did this wall, and it was over the course of multiple episodes, because I not only had to go and mine all this deep slate by myself, I had to go cut down all the warped wood trees, I had to design it all, and then I had to place it all together. So it was just a lot of work. Good work, but still, it took me a long time. And as you can see, we don't even have the corners finished. It's just I don't really have a design for it, and there's been so much else going on, and I'm sure that you guys were getting a little tired of me working on just a wall episode after episode. So the hope is eventually that I will finish off those, but yeah, this was a long project, but I'm also so happy with the results. It's looking really, it's just looking so great. And even though it was a lot of hard work at the time, it's also kind of something that you can feel really massively proud about and just like, yes, like this all came together in a matter of, I don't know, 4 episodes, I think, and is looking amazing. Once I finished all these walls, it was time to move on. I was tired of building walls. I couldn't think about another wall build. We took on a new project, again, still in the military base, but something that I'd been designing for a while, and that was this building, which is an armory. I think it came together so nicely. It's almost like a little bell tower here in the center, and it actually would be really cool if I actually put a bell up there. I might do that. I really enjoyed designing this one. The exterior was something that kind of came as I was building it, but the interior I did fully design in a creative test world. And look at this. So I would say all of these armor stands that I have in here, including upstairs, all now have at least a couple pieces of armor. Oh, no, not quite, but there's a bunch of it. We went to Bastion to grab the Gilded Blackstone. That was terrifying. We also obviously put the magma blocks in the side, and we have lava down on the floor with black glass. Oh, this turned out so well, and I think it's probably the build that I'm most proud about because the design of it is amazing. So up here, the soul lanterns were not enough light, and so we did end up putting carpet along just so this was unspawnable. And I mean, I think it looks fine having this carpet up here on the top. It turned out really well. So I still have a few more armor stands that I do need to put armor on, at least a couple pieces. I thought I'd actually finished it, which is why I haven't finished it yet. But that will come. I obviously have a lot more armor from our latest end run, but we also have a little bit of a chandelier in here, which I like. So from the armory, we moved on to another build within the military base. And that build was the blacksmith. Now, I had some ideas for the blacksmith when I first created it. I knew I wanted a super smelter within the blacksmith. I knew all the buildings in this area needed to be large. And so I wanted something fairly, yeah, I just wanted it really big. And this is kind of what we came up with. So now this area is not interior decorated yet, but these are working super smelters. So you put the item up in the top there. Sorry, up in the top up there. And then this is the fuel in the back. And yeah, it works out quite well. Now, I knew I did not have enough coal because as you can see, I used coal in the build quite a bit and also in the armory, and I was running out of so much coal. So in addition to building the blacksmith and the super smelter, my husband Miniweeds actually came on and helped me out making a bamboo farm. And that was really great, and it works great. But in this main section is where I did most of the design work. So we had a little smelter area here with the smoke coming up, I don't know, prep station area, and then of course the bed. Now, as you may notice, if you did watch my episode on the decoration of the interior in this area, you notice that I now have a purple bed here. Well, the reason for that is one night I slept there and I was not really paying a lot of attention. I slept and then I was checking out some design stuff on my phone and wasn't paying attention. And all of a sudden I just heard a big boom. Creeper blew up right here. Blew up the bed, blew up a few other like design aspects here, big hole in the floor, part of this was missing. Terrified me so much. That is why there's now a purple bed right there. But it was just a little scary. But yeah, so after we finished that area, we worked more on the landscaping. And so we got some more of these crystal tree flower things in. We got some more of these rocky structures, and of course we did the wool and the paths all through here, and it just made it feel so much more filled out. We also got a moss farm created, which is inside of this tower. And it was only just last episode that we ended up decorating a little bit more the inside. And as I said in last week's episode, this is actually broken, so I need help fixing it. So we don't use it right now. But it is a bone meal moss farm, so it does create bone meal. So if I need actual moss, I just stand here and catch whatever comes my direction. But other than that, it was working really well. So yeah, hopefully it's just an easy fix. I wanted to add another tower into this area. So while this one is wider, and actually I think it's slightly taller than that one, it adds a little bit of character in this area. Matches the tower and kind of the big overall theme that I have within this area, so I think it works and I like it. I like both of them. After we finished all of this, from terraforming to the paths, all that kind of stuff, I was starting to get a little creative fry going on in my brain. We still need to make a barracks or two in this area. We need a stable. You know, we need some other decorations within this area and buildings, but we have been over in this area for just so long. I just needed a break. We moved on, and this was last week's episode where we built this beautiful hot air balloon, which I've never built one before, but I think it turned out really well. It could possibly use a little bit more roundness, maybe adding another layer of magenta wool on these sides could work. And I was also noticing when I was rendering out my replay of it that the purple extends down and then there's the blue, whereas the top, the purple and like ends right at the top of the circle of magenta. So I was like, I think that's why it kind of looks a little bit more flat. So I might end up going fixing it, or I might just look at it and be like, hey, there's learning curves and this is a great first start. So we'll see. Now, Nbents also gave me the suggestion of putting a campfire on top of the portal to signify like the hot air going into the balloon, and wow, it had so much. So that's what you can see up there, and it really, really works. So that was basically it of our whole season 1. And I think we did amazing, from the apothecary to the farm silo to the roof nether portal hot air balloon. All of this is coming together so nicely. And honestly, I can't wait for 1.18 and to build so much more stuff, especially our mega base. I'm really excited for that. But I'd love to hear from you guys what you guys think I should build next. So obviously for myself, I would love to build a mega base, and I have some really cool ideas for it. But overall, wow, we have done such amazing work, and I'm excited for season 2, where we continue on in this world and building up so much more amazing stuff. You know what? I think I'm actually going to end it here with just season 1 finale. So I hope you guys really loved this episode, just to kind of walk through all the areas that we have built and the progress that I have made as a builder. It's been really great reminiscing down memory lane. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And if you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button. And I will catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.